Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of JD's Wildcat World. As you can tell, the reason that I haven't been on as much, I have been really sick. My voice is pretty much gone. I tried to wait till today to be able to record this episode. This has been one of the crappiest weeks of my life. I had COVID. My oldest son has strep. Just a very crappy week all the way around. But I appreciate everyone reaching out and asking about the episodes. I know several people wanted a post game after Gonzaga. I didn't have a voice before that game, and afterwards, I definitely didn't have one. Just a hell of a performance from the Cats. We'll get into that. That's mainly the game I'm going to focus on, and then of course Louisville coming up tomorrow. So that's really what I'm going to focus on. The Colgate game was kind of blah. I'm just throwing that type away. That was very strange. The game itself, you start off up 17 to nothing, and it looks like you're going to win by 40. And then you look up in the second half and you're down by 2 points. It's like, what just happened? Obviously, in that game, you're missing Lamont Butler because Colgate's guards were even getting to the rim on us and basically getting whatever they wanted in that second half. But a win's a win, no matter who it's against. Like I said, when we started up 17-0 and we were playing good defense, I thought we were going to win by 40. That didn't end up happening. The Cats win that game by 12, and they lose to Clemson on the road before that by 4 last week. I said the last episode, you get one of Clemson and Gonzaga. I'm happy. If you got both, I mean, we're number one in the country this week. That didn't happen. We did get the one at Gonzaga. Didn't get Clemson, which is fine. You can't win every game. I would rather have at Gonzaga than I would at Clemson, honestly. I think at Gonzaga is going to look better on Selection Sunday, so I'm perfectly fine with where we're at right now. And we go into Louisville 9-1. So we'll get into that game. But first, I want to focus on Gonzaga. I thought the Cats, for the most part, especially that first half, just got whipped. I mean, there's no other way of saying it. They got embarrassed in that first half. They didn't even look like they belonged on the floor with Gonzaga, which was concerning. I mean, I know Gonzaga is good, but it was concerning at the same time because we come in ranked fourth at the time. Obviously, being ranked fourth in the country, you do not need to go anywhere and play and look like you don't belong on the floor. And that's what happened the first half. We got our teeth kicked in. But we made the adjustments we needed to, which was nice to see. If that game was last year, we get beat by 20. I mean, it was literally just like last year's game and we're up against Gonzaga. I feel like Gonzaga just kicked our tail from the start. They ran the same play over and over. It worked over and over. And this year, in the first half, I was surprised we didn't switch it up earlier. One thing that worried me in this Gonzaga Kentucky game was Amari Williams. Now, he did make some very big plays down the stretch and got us stop when we needed to, but he got manhandled by Gonzaga's big guys all night long. They ran right at him, it felt like. They posted him up, whipped him, rebounding the ball, which was very strange. I'm used to Amari grabbing every rebound this season, but we've got to figure out going into SEC play how to get Amari better against bigger guys. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not a basketball coach at the college level, but we've definitely, whether it's doubling his man, we've got to do something because every time down, our bigs were just getting abused, it felt like, especially in that first half. But the most important thing is, and I had people texting me in that first half like, man, what is this? This is so discouraging that we look forward to this game. We think we can contend and we're getting blew out. And my response was, let's go zone. Just to go zone, just to see if we can slow them down because what we were doing wasn't working. And we were getting abused down low. Nimhard was getting wherever he wanted, whenever he wanted in that first half. And side note, Lamont Butler was out. So the game changes when he would be in. But the first half was a complete debacle. I think we were down 16 at halftime. And then you come out in the second half, like we went zone. We started scoring a little bit more. We started hitting some shots. And the game flipped when we went zone because Gonzaga didn't know what to do. It reminded me of watching a cow team. who just stood around, threw the ball around the wing, and forced up a bad shot as time expired for the most part. I think there was only like one time that they had a really good possession, and it was when Andrew Carr I think he went with the wrong guy that he was supposed to be with and left his man wide open in the corner, and I think they hit a shot. But other than that, the zone worked extremely well. It was kind of set up in like a 1-3-1, and then it would kind of morph into man to man, which was something that definitely is a Pope thing. When you go zone, I feel like you stay zone the whole possession for the most part. But it was like with 10 seconds left in the shot clock, we would go man. That was something awesome, and that would have confused anybody. I feel like for it to confuse such a well ran offense like Gonzaga was that whole game before that, I just think it would have confused anyone. But a hell of a job once again by Coach Pope and his staff to adjusting in the game. They did the same thing against Duke. We're down big early. Don't look like we belong on the floor. And by the second half, we're right back in it, even in the lead. And then you go on to win the game. But I thought that's when the game turned, is when we went into that zone and morphed it into man to man with 10 seconds left on the shot clock. I thought that was a great strategy. It's so good to have a coach that adjusts on the fly and adjusts when you need it. Coach Pope knew he was watching just like everybody else, knew we were getting our butts handed to us, knew there had to be a change made, and he made it. Here we are with a very good road win at Gonzaga. I just can't say enough about the fight of this group. I feel like once we got down 18 early in the second half, I pretty much chalked this down as a loss. I'm not going to lie to you. I chalked it down as an L because we couldn't get a stop, and the Cats fought without their best defender, and then you lose Kerr Carissa with some kind of fracture in his foot. Shout out to Kerr, by the way, for being super tough, for having a broken foot or fractured bone in his foot, whatever. It's still extremely painful, and being able to get back and contest a shot after that is just insanity. So shout out to Kerr. I thought he did a pretty solid job on offense when he was in there taking over for Lamont. But Lamont, please get healthy. We need you tomorrow for Louisville. I know Jackson Robinson is kind of sick of running point, and I understand. I mean, he's definitely better off the ball. Jax is. So I wanted to go over the Gonzaga box score real quick. I'm not going to spend too much time on it since it happened almost a week ago, but it's just such a huge win for us. I was just sick of losing to them. I was starting to hate Gonzaga because, I mean, when we played them, they beat us every time before that. Andrew Carr was definitely the go-to guy down the stretch. 19.7 boards. You get a huge performance from him, even if he was getting whipped on defense throughout the night. His offensive game arguably won the game for us. Jackson Robinson playing point had 18 points, 7 of 15 from the floor, 2 of 5 from 3, 5 assists, 3 boards. He did a little bit of everything, and that was awesome to see from him. I think it was Jackson's best game since he's been at Kentucky. So that's a good sign for us when it comes to big games. Who's our guy? I think Jax showed that he could do that. Otega, I mean, he had 13 points and 6 boards, but he really wasn't insanely good this game, and he still had those numbers. 4 of 11 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3, 6 boards. Otega's three-pointers kind of went away as the season has went on, and I hope he gets that back. I talked about it in one of the earlier episodes of this season, how his non-conference three-point shooting was so much better than conference, and I think that's still going to happen. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's inferior competition, but let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope he shoots it like he was at the beginning of the season and not like he has been lately. But I've got all the confidence in the world in Otega. I mean, he has been our consistently best player since the season started. So I have confidence in him. He's gave me no reason not to have confidence in him. Amari had 12 points and only 3 rebounds, which was shocking. 5 of 8 from the field. When Amari makes a good pass, it's a dot. But then he also makes some of the most boneheaded passes that gets picked off. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But hopefully we see more dots than goofy passes. That's what I'm hoping for. With the big men initiating the offense from the top of the key, you're going to have some turnovers. You're also going to have some good plays. I love Mark Pope's offense and what he's done with this group. Spoke on Kirk Risa. He had 8 points, 3 of 7 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. Started off the game by getting his 1,000th point as he buried a 3 at the very beginning of the game. So shout out to him. And I thought Brandon Garrison Man, without Brandon Garrison, I don't think you win that game. He came in, he made a very good effort on Gonzaga's bigs when Amari wasn't doing the best. Garrison came in 10 points, 9 boards. His rebounding was really big. That was the biggest thing. He also scored, hit a three. Am I correct in that? Yeah, he hit his first three of the year. Thought I remembered that he did that, but very proud of Brandon Garrison. Kobe Bryant struggled against Gonzaga. 2 of 9 from the field, 1 of 5 from three. That probably tanked his 3-point percentage because it was like in the 60s before that. So, but you know, we're sitting at 9-1 going into Louisville. I think that's all you can ask for because you've played Duke on a neutral floor. You've played at Clemson and at Gonzaga. I know Gonzaga's technically neutral, but it was all the way in Seattle. But those are three very hard games that you could have easily lost all three, and you're sitting here 9-1 going into the Louisville game. I think as a Kentucky fan, Mark Pope's first season, arguably going to be his worst team that he's going to bring to Lexington. We're sitting at number 5 in the country, 9-1 overall. So, and that's no disrespect to these guys. I love this team. I absolutely love this team. But Coach Pope put it together within a span of weeks because he had absolutely no players. And I'm so proud of them, so proud of the coaching staff because they've took guys that have never played with each other and they are balling so far through the middle of December. So I hope it keeps up. After we had, okay, let's see, we got Louisville this Saturday, Ohio State next Saturday, and we end the non conference slate at home against Brown University out of the Ivy League. If you go into non conference play 12-1, I think you're sitting pretty. Really do. I really think we should beat Louisville Saturday, and I think we should beat Ohio State, which we have not done in it feels like forever. But that should be a dub for us. I'm excited to get to play Aaron Bradshaw. He's back with Ohio State as far as I know. So that'll be a homecoming game for him. But if you go into non-conference 12-1, it's going to be awesome. That gives you some leeway in the SEC because let me tell you folks right now, do not overreact to in-conference losses in the SEC. The SEC this year has the best conference I think I've ever seen in college basketball from top to bottom. I think the worst team is South Carolina, who only has 3 losses this season. I think that's correct. But it's crazy how good they are. I mean, you've got 9 teams ranked, and Arkansas will probably be ranked this upcoming week because they got a big win. They beat Michigan. So they'll probably get into that top 25 mix too. So you're going to sit there, have all these teams ranked. Heck, Missouri just beat Kansas. Missouri is sitting at 8-1 after a winless conference record last year. I mean, the SEC is stacked. So you could go in any night. I don't care if you're at home, especially on the road. But you could drop some home games in conference with that without it being a shock. I mean, our first conference home game is against Florida, who's ranked top 10 in the country. It is crazy. I've never seen and I never thought the SEC would be this good in basketball, but they've took it over. SEC ACC challenge 14-2. So, I mean, just complete domination by the SEC, and I think it's showing. Currently projected to get 12 teams in the tournament. I'm pretty sure that would be the most ever. You could fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that would be the most ever conference teams in one tournament ever. 12 teams from a conference getting in the NCAA tournament is mind blowing to me. So I'm saying all this to say projected 7 losses for the Cats at the beginning of the year. We probably end up with more than that just because of how good the SEC is. I think every game that especially you go on the road in the SEC, it is going to be an absolute dogfight. Like without a doubt, dogfight. So just be prepared for that. We're not overreacting to losses at all in the SEC. Now, I will be salty if we go lose to Louisville at home. I mean, I think that's the one thing that can't happen for this fan base to stay the way they are. I mean, not that they wouldn't be excited after, but you've got to beat Louisville, especially after getting absolutely obliterated by them on the football field. You've got to beat them if you're the Cats, and I think they will do that pretty handily. Louisville is better this year, led by first-year coach Pat Kelsey, who has done a really good job so far turning things around. We're talking about a Kenny Payne-led squad last year who won 4 games 2 years ago and 8, I think, 8 or 9 last year. Just an abysmal Ram program, and they are back and better this year. They're 6-4. They're kind of a confusing team when you look at their schedule because they've beat a couple teams that are decent, and then they've got absolutely destroyed by teams that are decent. Tennessee beat them by 22. They beat Indiana by almost 30 in the Bahamas, beat West Virginia by 9, lost to Oklahoma, lost to Ole Miss by 23, lost to Duke by 11, and then Wednesday night they beat UTEP by 3. So a very confusing team to look at their schedule. It's like, one night they're red hot, and then the next game they play, they're terrible. That's basically what you're going to get. I hope we are a team that they play that we get terrible out of Louisville. And they're led in scoring by Chucky Hepburn, who is a guard. I watched some against, I'm trying to think what game it was I watched, but West Virginia maybe. And also Indiana. He just lit Indiana up. I was watching that game as well, but he's the main guy you've got to focus on. Terrence Edwards Jr. is a guy that Kentucky went after in the portal. I forget, maybe Western Carolina. That would be a heck of a pull if that's right. I think he came from Western Carolina. Could be wrong about that, but he came from a small school. I forget where it was, but I know Kentucky wanted him in the portal. I think he would have been a great get for Mark Pope, but 13 points a game from him. They had Kashawn Pryor, who was a really good guy. I'm pretty sure he came from Charleston with Pat Kelsey. Could be wrong on that, but he was one of their best players. He averaged 12 a game, 12.6 boards. He had a very bad leg injury earlier in the season, so I think he's out for the year. That was a big loss for them. With him, I think they're a fringe bubble tournament team. Without them, I don't think they make the tournament, but they could because the ACC is very, very bad. So, they could still make the tournament. But I think right now they're a fringe bubble team. I think they were definitely locked for the tournament with Kashawn Pryor. I should have rephrased that, but now I think they're kind of fringe bubble team. Noah Waterman is a guy that will come in and knock down some shots. I'm pretty sure Pope went after him as well. He's just a straight up shooter, 6 points, 4 boards a game. But those are the guys you kind of watch out for. I think it's pretty wild that they called Javon Hadley a guard as a 6'6" senior, and he is averaging 8 rebounds a game. But it is what it is. I guess we'll see. I'm not really familiar with how he plays. He's not a guy that jumped out at me watching them in any other game, but obviously you got to focus on all these guys. It's a rivalry game, in-state rivalry that is known for being close game, at least in the past, not immediately, but it's been close for the most part. Not anytime recently, though. We've destroyed them almost every time we've played them lately. But all that to say, I think Coach Pope is not losing his first game against Louisville. That's just, I don't think he'll let it happen. I don't care what he has to do, but I just don't see him losing that first game against your biggest in-state rival. I like the Cats. I think it's going to be decently close, though. I'm making this prediction assuming Lamont Butler plays. I think he'll go. He's questionable as of right now as I'm recording this, but I think Lamont Butler plays and the Cats win by 13. If he doesn't play, however, because there is still a chance he doesn't, I think the Cats win, but it's even closer. I'm thinking 5-6 points without Lamont, but I think the Cats get a win. Man, I would love to be wrong. I would love to absolutely destroy them by 20 plus. I think that would be very refreshing also for the fan base. After kind of a stinker performance against Colgate, I think that's would be very, very good, and we'll see if that happens. But if Lamont Butler plays, which I hope we get him back, I think he definitely makes a very big difference on Chucky Hepburn and Terrence Edwards, as well as Louisville is completely led by their guards. So having Lamont back would be huge for us on the defensive side. And if not, I feel comfortable with Jackson Robinson running point and defending. I mean, his defense has improved so much since the beginning of the season. I mean, it's crazy how much better he is on defense than he was. Now, we've still got, I mean, when Colgate's guards are getting to the rim on our guards, that's an issue. But I do want to take a second to just talk about how much he has improved on the defensive side of the ball. The offense hasn't always been there yet this year. Gonzaga, he played great, but I still don't think we've seen the best from Jackson Robinson. He's a guy that was number one on my wish list to come in here with Coach Pope. We got him, and I think he's doing a great job. So I think the team in general is doing a great job. Like I said, to come in to the Louisville game 9-1, I don't think you can ask for anything more than that. I mean, you could ask to be 10-0, and if we were 10-0, I feel like we're number one in the country with Kansas losing. So, but it is Louisville Hate Week. It's been Louisville Hate Week, other than my life being crappy this week. It is at least Louisville Hate Week, and we at least have the big in-state rivalry game to look forward to tomorrow at 5:15 Eastern. Let's just hope that the Cats can get it done. I've got full confidence that they do. I like the Cats. I said by 13, assuming Lamont Butler plays, that's going to be my score prediction is going to be 92-79. That is with Lamont Butler playing. Without Lamont, I think the Cats win 86-80. So we'll see. Two different predictions based on whether Lamont plays or not. Man, I want him back. I think we kind of undervalued his presence, especially on the defensive end of the floor. But he flows the offense too, and that's been seen, especially in the Colgate game when we kind of struggled to score there in the second half. So enough of me rambling. I'm very thankful for you all, and with this episode, if it gets the numbers that the other ones have, we will have eclipsed 1,000 total streams. And, I touched on the life of me right now. So, with just seeing people love this show and continue to stream it truly means the world to me. And I'm thankful for everyone around me as well. I'm thankful for my children, first and foremost. Thankful for my support system. And I'm just thankful for the fan base of the show. You all keep me going. There's no, I mean, if it wasn't for you all loving the show, I wouldn't be doing it. I do love doing it, but if there wasn't a demand for it, I wouldn't be. So I just really, really thank you all for, I've been, and I've talked and talked and talked about people, like me when I first started this. People, when they see me in public, their first thought has always been, "Hey JD, what do you think about the Cats this year? Think the Cats are going to do anything this year? You know, how are the Cats going to be?" And I thought, well, instead of having to see me out in public and come up to me, not that I don't like that, I enjoy that. I enjoy talking to people about Kentucky and about anything else you want to talk about. But to now, people to be able to hear me from the click of their phone and my opinions, it's just been awesome. And I appreciate everyone. If you don't, I want to get my Facebook page growing a little bit. It's kind of tapered out at 150 people. I kind of want to get that growing because I post updates during the game just in case any of you all aren't getting to watch, or, earlier in the year had a lot of people saying their phones weren't cooperating with them. They couldn't get into ESPN Plus or SEC Network Plus. So I post, as long as I'm not working and I can pay good attention to the games, I'm posting updates almost at every media timeout during the game. So just follow along, add me on there, and I'll accept you as a fan of JD's Wildcat World. And you can comment during the games and talk to me if you want to. I also share news during the week if anything breaks about Kentucky basketball, or there's even some UK football stuff on there. So JD's Wildcat World on Facebook. If you all will add that, I definitely appreciate you, and follow along during games. I know a lot of you all just, reach out to me on Twitter or reach out to me on my phone. My phone goes crazy during games, especially after big game wins. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all for caring enough to include me in your lives and include me in your celebrations. It truly means a lot to me. So I love each and every one of y'all, and hug the people closest to you. That's my one word of advice. Just tell everyone how much you love them and how much you mean to them. And thank you all so much for listening to JD's Wildcat World. Let's get this thing. I mean, we are so close to eclipsing 1,000 total listens. And I know that's nothing to most people. When you're talking about podcasting, The most successful shows get thousands and thousands of streams per episode. I'm not an idiot. I know that. But for a guy that got into this that knows absolutely, I still know nothing about it. I mean, I know enough to edit an episode and put it out there and speak into a microphone. But other than that, I know absolutely nothing about it. I've done this all completely by myself. I edit every single episode by myself. I record every episode by myself. I think of the ideas by myself. It's completely me. So just a guy from Science Hill, Kentucky that is trying his hardest to give the fans of the show what they want to hear and keep it interesting. And so to eclipse 1,000 total streams is really insanity to me. I never thought we'd get 50. So get 1,000 is huge. I can't thank each and every one of you all enough. And let's go beat the team up north. Let's go beat the Dirty Birds. You know, after the embarrassment of the football season and the football win for them, I have a renewed energy on how to beat them because on the basketball floor, they haven't been on the same level as us for a while. But now they're a little better this year, and they've got a new coach, so they've got a little bit of their swagger back. I think the rivalry's at its best when both teams are good. I think everybody agrees with that. So with Coach Pope building what he's built here, and Coach Kelsey there at Louisville is building all he can, doing all he can to build them up. I think here in a couple years you'll see a potential maybe top 10 matchup. We'll see. I think Kelsey's definitely the right guy for them, and I know for a fact that Coach Pope's the right guy for us. So it'll be even more exciting then. But I think it's exciting this week because it's Coach Pope's first matchup. I mean, it's their first matchup with them. I want to see how Coach Pope does with it being in Rupp. I think it gives us a huge advantage, not necessarily fan wise, but just playing wise. I think the Cats will take care of business. So it has been 30 minutes. I've gave out all my thoughts. I've rambled quite a bit, but let's go beat the team up north. I've got all the confidence in the world that we will. This has been JD's Wildcat World. Thank you all so much for listening. You all are the best. We are available on every single place you can get your podcast. Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, YouTube, you name it, we are there. Thank you all as always. Let's beat the Cardinals and go Cats.